Hey, I'm Carlos Garcia, and today we are finishing off Jack Daniel's week. So we're doing the Jack Daniel's 14 from this year and last year, so the only two releases, and I killed the bottle from last year in today's blind. And we're also gonna add this year's 10 year, this year's 12 year, and because someone commented about this, I'm also adding a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, which obviously I only had a little bit left, so I put it into one of my 8-ounce sample, 8-ounce sample bottle things. So it's gonna be a 5-way blind. There will be a giveaway for all of these except there's no more of this, sorry. This is literally killed it today. And so that's the Jack Daniel's 14 from last year. I'm borrowing the Jack Daniel's 14 from my buddy Jerry. He actually gave me a 2-ounce sample for this, but let me use the bottle as well. My buddy Jim also gave me a 2-ounce sample, so everyone helping me out trying to get the Jack Daniel's 14. However, I was able to pull off a trade last night for one, so I should have my own bottle coming in soon. So I will do a giveaway. Obviously, I just use my own bottle for that. I'm going to reach out to Jerry and Jim to be like, do you guys want your stuff back? Obviously, Jerry wants his bottle back, but anyways, that's back end stuff you guys don't care about. So today we're going over those 5, but let's do a giveaway first. All right, so this is going to be for the Shanks video. So it will be all 3 Shanks and all 3 Bombergers, as opposed to the other giveaway from the last video. And it is Christopher B. The email is in the description. Send me an email, congratulations. All right, pretty excited about this lineup. A few of you guys have been asking me about the 14s. I'm like, well, I haven't compared them yet because I don't have a 14 of my own. So, and I only had a little bit left of last year's 14, so I am going to find out which was better today as well. So we'll see. If I had a prediction, I'm guessing the 10 is going to come in last place. The 12 didn't do so well on Wednesday, so that might be 4th. I'll probably put the shelfer above both those. We'll see. We'll see how it comes out. I think it's going to be the 2 14s. If I don't get the black permanent marker note, I would think last year's 14 is going to beat out this year's 14. We shall see. But I have enjoyed this year's 14 as well. But I know a lot of people are saying last year's better. We'll see today, I guess. All right, A on the nose. All right, A on the nose, pretty decent. Slight banana, sweet oak, vanilla, slight savory note. Overall, decent nose. No complaints there. Let's go to B. All right, so all I wrote so far was something off-putting. I'm gonna continue nosing it. It's almost like an empty, nutty shells nose. I don't know. It's not my favorite, and it's all basically I'm getting. So that's why I'm taking this kind of like little pause to tell you that note and see what happens on my second nosing, which I usually don't do that, but kind of I feel like I need to for this one. Okay, so nosing it more, it's still okay. So peanut, oak, it's all I wrote with that off-putting note. I liked A's nose a little bit better. It's just, there was just something off a little bit with the glass B. Let's go to C. All right, so C, way more oak forward than the first 2, but still, I wouldn't say it's light. It's still like, it's a darker profile, but it's not intense. The intensity is light. So oak, vanilla, marshmallow, peanut, not very complex. I still think I like A's nose better than that. Well, let's see. Let me try it back and forth. A's nose coming off of C is way more banana forward. It is the only one I said banana on so far, so we shall see, but it's just way more intense on A. Let's go to D. So I went to the nose on D, and it reminded me a lot of C, so I kind of went back and forth a lot between C and D. D on the nose, oak, slight permanent black marker note, peanut butter, vanilla, marshmallow, a slight savory note. When I went back and forth with C and D, C was giving me a lot, actually, of this cured meat note. So I wrote down. So like a presunto type thing. Presunto is Portuguese. Italians call it prosciutto, which you guys, most of you guys would probably know it that way instead of the O, how Portuguese people say it. But it's like the cured ham. I was getting a decent amount of that on the nose on C, which I love presunto, so not a bad note for me. Let's go to E. All right, so I went to E on the nose. I wrote banana, light, more approachable, slight nuttiness. And because I got banana, I went to A to kind of compare it to, and A became more of a ripe banana note. And I went back to E, and it was less banana. So A is the most banana forward of these 5. So let's go to the palettes. All right, so we go to A. A, that's, I'm not gonna try to guess. It gives me a very distinct note, which is making me think of that it's the 10. But I'm not gonna guess. I immediately guessed right in front of you guys. It is what it is. So banana, peanut butter, oak, all those are really good. The flavors there are really good, but it's so watery. It's like eating a peanut butter banana sandwich that's wet. On the finish, banana, watery, oak, peanut butter, marshmallow, more nuttiness, very nutty on the finish. But again, overall, it's just too watery. If this is the 10, the problem here is the proof point. Not necessarily the age. You can always not proof it down so much and keep it as a 10-year. I think that would be pretty good, actually. But let's go a second sip. The second sip was so different than the first one. It was more red fruit oak forward, not as watery on the palate. On the palate, or on the finish, it was more of a marshmallow astringent oak. Not as good on the finish as the first sip. Overall, besides that watery aspect, I still prefer the first sip over the second sip. More banana now on the finish. Man, that I wouldn't say it turned a 180 because a lot of notes are still the same, but the experience was very different on that second sip. Let's see what happens on the third sip. The third sip was a lot more like the second sip, which is unfortunate. It's not as watery as like the first sip, but the first sip had better flavors with that wateriness, where it kind of just became muddled together. You couldn't like figure out what you're drinking. It was good. Nothing wrong with it really. I just like noticing the different flavors as opposed to like an all jumbled mess. And it finishes off with more banana than on the first one was like kind of more of a nutty finish. Overall, not terrible. So let's go to B. All right, B drinks proofier than A. Not as watery, so already coming off a little bit better. Oak, vanilla, marshmallow, nutty, hazelnut specifically. I actually crossed out slight nutty, just left the nutty part. Because I was getting more of a hazelnut, and you know, that's not slight nutty if you can even pick out the nut to me in my brain. On the finish, oak, vanilla, marshmallow, hazelnut. Basically the same thing on the palate and finish. Not overly complex, but I did enjoy just the experience more than A, but we'll see. I'm curious on how this goes on the second sip. It didn't change all that much on the second sip. I didn't get any new notes. It's still very much those couple notes, not overly complex, not overly that good. It's solid. I hope this isn't one of the 14s. That would be terrible. All right, one more sip. A little red fruit there on the finish. The finish actually was really good on this time. Those oak, vanilla, marshmallow notes were really intense. Palate's still not, it's okay. I did like it more than A, so, I like to put my tentative scores here so I have a clue of what's going on in the future. All right, let's go to C. I mean, if they keep getting better, E is going to be really, really good. Interesting. So, coming off of B, C was fuller, richer, oakier, but there wasn't too much complexity again. I wrote very slight permanent black marker on the slightest. I almost didn't even write down. Some vanilla. So it was definitely oak forward. I was really searching for that care to beat note because I got all the notes. I was very excited about if I was to get on the palate. I did not, unfortunately. I'm getting slight banana on the finish. Let me write that down. On the finish, oaky, vanilla, slight red fruit, slight banana. Again, not very complex. That would definitely be something I would have to compare A-B between B and C. But initially coming off of B, I thought it was a better experience because it was richer, more elevated than B. But it's not complex. But B wasn't all that complex anyways. So I guess C is a little bit better. Second step. So confusing, this pour. So I crossed out the very on slight permanent black marker because it got a little bit more permanent black marker to the slight category. But overall, no new notes, but this is one of those hard ones where it's not complex, but it tastes okay. Now, this might be too oaky for some people. I can see that because it's very oak forward. I don't think it's too oaky for me. I enjoy more oaky stuff anyways, but I feel like some people might think that this is just too oaky because there's not a lot of other notes to kind of play off of that oak and kind of balance it. Okay, third sip. This is mind messing with me. Long finish. So the only thing I wrote new was the very slight sulfur note on the finish and marshmallow. I think it's still my favorite out of the first three, but barely. It does last a long time. a nice amount of oakiness there, a nice proof point. None of these are blowing my mind. This is probably like the thing that's like a little driving me a little crazy right now. Let's go to D. I mean, D is way more intense than the first 4 put together. More intense, oak, red fruit, slight permanent black marker note, vanilla, nutty, marshmallow. On the finish, oak, red fruit, vanilla, nutty, more intense. It is in your face with those flavors. Let's go second sip. All right, second sip, so intense. It's way more intense than the first 3, and that's definitely pushing it further away from the first 3. Very red fruit. I got to the point I wrote strawberry, so even specifically a strawberry note. Very intense. Nothing off-putting. There is a slight permanent black marker note, but not too bad. Again, I feel like that permanent black marker note pops up when you're blinding these against other things outside of Jack Daniels, because I think against itself, it kind of hides itself because it's not as prominent, because maybe it's just there on all of them and it's just a little bit more on others. The third sip? Oh no, that third sip. It was giving me a little bit too much of that permanent black marker note. Just when I thought I had a clear favorite, Ford decides to give me a freaky curveball on the third sip. It became a little bit too permanent black marker forward. No, it's still not too bad, but it was more of it on this third sip, which is very unfortunate. The downfall of Jack Daniels for last year was the permanent black marker note. I still think it's my favorite, but it's not going to get as high of a score as I was thinking after the first couple sips. Well, they are increasingly better, so let's see how E does. All right, so E on the palate, banana, sweet, slight nutty, red fruit. On the finish, banana, peanut butter, intense proof. Does drink, I feel like, the hottest out of these 5. And I purposely didn't even look at the proofs on purpose, kind of not give myself anything more than me kind of knowing that there's different age range here. I did not write oaky or oak. I didn't write oak either. Just kidding, I did on the finish. This is me trying to guess the bottles, and by the way. When I say I'm not trying to guess the bottles, I'm 100% trying to guess the bottles. This is good though. I did like this. It's banana forward, and it is proofy. Not overly proof or anything, but it drinks the hottest out of the 5. So I don't know if it is the proofiest or not. It just drinks the hottest. It's sweet though. This is good. Second sip. It's the exact same notes. Every time I thought I was gonna write a new note, I looked down and it was right there. So again, banana forward. It is proofy. Again, not overly proof, but you taste that it's a higher proof thing. Sweet banana. On the finish, a lot more banana again. Some peanut butter. It's like peanut butter and banana together. Pretty good. I do like that. Okay, third sip. All right. E, it is what it is. It's the same notes. It is good. I do like it more than some other ones in this lineup. So, but not, it kept getting better and better. And then this one kind of didn't get better, but still pretty good. Overall, all of them were decent. None of them blew my mind. I will say that. None of them really scored that high, but I want to take a break, drink some water, and, do my whole thing here, come back with some scores. I'll be right back. All right, this video is already an hour long in footage. I'm sure I'll cut it down a lot more than that, but that took me a long time. A being this, and glass C, which is this year's Jack Daniel's 14. Definitely put in some work. There's definitely none of that left. Before we get into that, let's do the giveaway. If you want to enter to win 2-ounce samples of this year's 10, this year's 12, this year's 14, and a single barrel proof for fun, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment with JD26. JD26X, because it's all of them together, and we put X's on front of the back end on all of these all week, so make sure it's all one word. All right, starting to feel a little bit loopy. So I'm recording this Friday, like early afternoon. I plan on editing it immediately right after this. I'll probably go eat some food. Editing and posting it immediately this afternoon while watching the USA team soccer game. So let's go America, right? So let's get into the results here. So in last place, so when I was going A, B, and B, I went right to the E and A, because those are my lower scoring ones. And A ended up edging out E, which was the single barrel proof, which I know Jack Daniels likes that because they want the lower price thing to be in last place. But for us, you know, if this kind of beat out some stuff, I would have been happy. Now, for the price point, it's punching way above its price. It's on every shelf. It's cheap, affordable. It is very good. I scored it a 3.4. And this year's Jack Daniel's 10 year, I scored a 3.5. Going back and forth a little bit because they're both banana forward. The oak on the 10 kind of just helped it a little bit more than on the single barrel proof. Now, higher proof versus the watery aspect of it, you know, the watery aspect of it was getting less watery, and that's why I was getting a little bit better anyways. There's that. Would I take a single barrel proof all day if I couldn't find the 10? Yes, all day. So then I was comparing the 12 year of this year versus this year's 14, back and forth quite a bit because those would be the next ones. And the 12 year did not really even come close to the 14 of this year. I scored a 3.6. Going back and forth a little bit, I actually raised the score on the 14 from a 3.8 to a 3.9. So this year's 14 came in second place, meaning last year's 14 batch 1 came in first with a score of 4.1. So once again, this year's version did not beat a previous version. I'm not gonna tell you guys not to go watch my old videos, but we did the 10s on Mondays, we did the 12s on Wednesday, and today was supposed to be the 14, but I kind of wanted to see how the 12 went against the 14. So I was like, well, I want to throw the 10 in there as well. Because last year when I did the 12 versus the 14 video, I basically scored them, I think, both a 4.5. Obviously, this did not score a 4.5 today, but when I first had them, I absolutely liked the 12 and the 14 last year. Now, the 12 of last year still did very well on Wednesday, and I really enjoyed that 12 from last year. The 14 from last year, I think, is a good amount better than this year's 14, but this year's 14 is still pretty decent. Is it worth secondary? No. You know, at MSRP, you know, it's right there for MSRP. It's 14 years, so what MSRP is like right up to like 150. It's worth that, or it's worth trading for. There's that. I'm happy I was able to trade for this at least. So that's that. Obviously, if you've had the 214s, let me know which one you like better. Have you compared the 14 to this year's 12 or 10 or whatever? Definitely let me know in the comments. I have yet to read Wednesday's comments. I plan on doing that tonight and responding to all those comments. And I'll be commenting back on these comments as well tonight. So don't look stupid. And if you do, don't get caught. Bye.